story, guys. Welcome to another episode of What Happens Here, Las Vegas' newest sports and entertainment program. I'm your host, Marcus Deegan. Hey, thanks for coming and joining us, guys, in this quarantine time. I'm really happy with the response that we've had. Everyone's been really positive on all the stories. Well, today we've got a special one for you. I'm pretty excited about this one. I know you guys will be as well. Well, look, today on the show, this guy's fought out of the Cage Warriors promotion, formerly of the UFC. Right now, he's in the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championships. This guy never shies away from a fight. You may recognize him from the hit TV show, The Ultimate Fighter. Well, some people call him the GOAT. Some people call him the Siberian Express. I prefer to call him the Russian Hammer. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome to the show, Mr. Artem Lobov. What's up, Artem?
What's happening, Marcus? Great to see you, man.
Great to see you, my friend. Where are you? You're in Dublin right now?
Yep, I'm in Dublin, Ireland.
On the quarantine like the rest of the world. How's that going for you? You're a new dad now. Is that a challenging thing?
Yeah, no, to be honest, this my kid is the only thing keeping me sane in these crazy times. He's the only thing giving me the motivation, you know what I mean? Like, normally time would go so slow and, you can't train, you can't go anywhere really. But now, with my kid, all that doesn't really matter. I bring him for like 3 walks a day, just right beside our house, but still, we're outside. He's getting some fresh air. He sleeps outside. We play outside, so it's good. It's great time. It gives me a lot of happiness. I'm delighted to have him.
That's just awesome that you've got that going on at home. Now, with the quarantine, are you training at home? Have you got anything there that's keeping you fit at the moment, or are you just doing like the rest of us, sitting around the house drinking beer and watching TV?
Yeah. To be honest with you, I do a little training every day, just to kind of kill some time and move around. But really, it's nowhere near the level that it needs to be, to fight. So obviously, once this is all over and we are able to return to normality, I can't wait to see all my training partners, all the guys at the gym, and just put on some proper, training sessions together and get into crazy good shape again.
So when's your next scheduled fight? Once this is finished, when are you hoping and who's it going to be?
Yeah, that's the thing. There's nothing scheduled at the moment because obviously nobody knows when this corona is going to fuck off,
Yeah.
But, obviously my guess would be that all promotions would want to resume their activities as soon as possible. So I'm thinking as soon as all this quarantine is lifted and we're allowed to, meet in public places, or even just, maybe do some shows without the people. As soon as that's allowed, I'm sure, I'll be fighting in one of the first few shows, definitely.
Now, that's obviously going to be back with the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. I was just watching those fights again the other day. That was an out-and-out war that you had with Jason Knight. Both of those fights, you both took a win. Is there any chance you'd run that back a third time, make him your dance partner again, so to speak, Artem?
Yeah, definitely. It's 1-1 now, and he's Jason is a big name, he's a top 10 UFC fighter at one point. And the money is good as well. So yeah, why not? It's a good matchup. We've had 2 good fights already. Let's do a third one. Let's answer the questions and make it a 2-1 and see who the winner is, So I'd definitely be interested in that fight.
Now, obviously, the damage is a little bit more when you're getting punched in the face with a bare knuckle. And your face, quite frankly, was shocking at the end of that first fight, brother. I felt for you, and I've seen a lot of funny memes going around with people using that photo. How long does it take to heal from something and injuries like that to your head?
Well, to be honest, the cuts heal very quick on your face, like literally within a week, they're like nearly gone, just some bruising left still. And then within 2 weeks, that's it, you're brand new again. It's the hands, that's the kind of the biggest issue, the hands take a long time to heal. Like because after that Jason Knight fight, I went straight into a camp for a poly fight, and I literally couldn't even hit pads for nearly my whole camp. Only the last week I was finally able to spar and hit pads, So the hands are the ones that kind of take the most damage in the fight.
Now, obviously, when you're training for the bare knuckle fight, you don't train with bare knuckles. Is the hands, that was going to be my next question. They break so easy. Is there any special conditioning that you do to actually toughen the hands up? Is there something that you can do to help you when you go into those battles?
I personally don't really think so. One thing I always kind of did is I never wore wraps in my life, even in my fights or in training. I hit pads, and I've got, quite a good bit of power, and I never wear wraps, so that kind of toughened my bones in my hands and my hands up. I think so anyway, because in that first just night fight, I mean, my hands were swollen, but not one bone was broken, which was a huge surprise to me.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably, that's one of the reasons I can think of as to why, I didn't break my hands. I think because I never wear wraps.
I mean, the bare knuckle fighting championship's been going for a couple of years now. You guys have definitely put it on the map. First of all, those fights with Jason Knight, then of course the one with Paulie Malignaggi. Did you feel extra pressure to go out and do justice to him because of the trash talking during and after the McGregor Mayweather training camp? Did you feel that you had to go in there and prove a point? And the fact that he is a world-class boxer, you really had to step your game up, and you proved a lot of people wrong. Was that a satisfying fight for you? Did you feel gratitude after beating a?
Oh, it definitely was. I was very satisfied after that win. That was a must-win for me. Yeah, it was an emotional build-up. It was very personal. A lot was at stake, and of course, yeah, I want to get a win. Yes, there was some nerves, of course, because you don't know. He is a two-time world boxing champion now. I've had some incredible sparring partners in my camp. Olympic, silver medalists, world champions. Very very high-level boxers. So I knew that there'd be nothing there that I haven't seen, but you still kind of have that little, question. What is he like? What is that going to be like? You know that, he has to have skill to get those two titles, world titles. So yeah, of course, I was relieved and delighted to get the win.
Do you think that you'll ever train MMA again?
Oh, of course. MMA is my bread and butter. I was already in talks with the Polish promotion, KSW. Like they're one of the biggest promotions in the world. They hold actually the record for having the largest audience for an MMA show among all the active promotions. And among the inactive, Pride holds that. They were the number one, and KSW were number two. But now Pride no longer exists, so KSW hold that spot. So they're big, big promotion, and I like the way they do their business. They've been on the scene for many, many years. They're on the main channel in Poland, Polsat. So yeah, I was in talks with them, and it was looking very likely that I was going to be competing in MMA this year.
So would you finish up with the bare knuckle boxing, or are you going to keep both of these in your pocket?
Not at all. To me, yourself. The bare knuckle is the blonde. The MMA is the brunette. You know what I mean? But,
what's the redhead? What's the redhead?
Have the two of them at the same time. You know what I mean? Why not? That's the ultimate dream, right? So that's what I'm going with. Bare knuckle. And MMA, and I'm hoping to throw in a third one in there as well, boxing.
Listen, Artem, I've got a couple of fan questions for you. Some people from online dropped a couple of fan questions, and they just wanted to know. So what have we got here? So Daniel Mashford from the Gold Coast, Australia, he wanted to know, out of all the fights you've had, including bare knuckle boxing and MMA, what was your most memorable win of all time?
The most memorable, I think, was the semi-final of the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
Because that was the last fight to get out of the house. It was my third win. It was a third knockout, and it was just a perfect shot. It was, perfectly placed, perfectly timed. Very skillful shot. I was very kind of happy to see that. I mean, I'm known for a guy that likes to kind of brawl, but I actually always go after those kind of shots. That's what I train for. This is the real martial art. The finesse that takes to execute something like that, and the training that goes into that. I was happy to be able to execute that, So that's definitely my favorite one, because that was also followed by the release from the house. And I went back to the McMansion, and Conor, had just won the first belt. Actually, this was I'm gonna have to tell this story, because when he won the belt against Mendes, we went partying, of course, and I was hoping not to drink because I knew I had to fight to get into the fighter house, But I just couldn't contain myself. The celebration was so big. The build-up was so emotional. Conor had re-injured his ACL. And I was present at that moment when that happened. And we didn't even think he was going to make it to the fight. Never mind win it in such impressive fashion. The whole camp was just rehab. He couldn't train, couldn't do anything. Then the change of opponent for him, you know what I mean? We thought we were training for a striker, so we thought, okay, we'll be able to handle that, even with the one leg. And then change of opponent for a wrestler. We hadn't wrestled, hadn't grappled at all the whole camp. So, you know what I mean? Conor still accepted. So I knew all this, it was such an emotional camp. And then for him to win the belt the way he did, I just couldn't not celebrate that night. I just couldn't. So I ended up celebrating. The celebration continued, for days, I think like 2 days in a row or something.
Yeah.
And then 3 days after, I get a message. Okay, Artem, you need to, show up to the Palace Station Hotel. We're going to take all your phone and all your stuff, and you're going to fight to get into the house. And I'm hungover to bits. I'm dying. I'm literally dying. Like, I'm just after, being partying for days. So anyway, and they telling me you have to make weight and all this. And I'm like, oh, I'm just dying. So I'm just recovering there somehow for the next few days, make weight. Well, luckily it was at 155, so I didn't really have to cut much. And get into the house, and then obviously the way it went, I lost the split decision, and it was supposed to go in the third round, but for some reason they didn't let it go into the third round. But so I was happy then to, the way it turned out, and I got into the house then, and then I obviously recovered, and then I was able to showcase my true skill set, and it was KO after KO after KO. And that third one, the very last one against Julian Erosa, was pitch perfect. And my UFC dream had started then. It's a dream of every fighter in the world to fight for the UFC. And we know that Ultimate Fighter, this is how you get in there. Everybody remembers that first Stephan Bonner, first group fight. It's an emotional moment, for me. And for me to be in that final. And actually, there's more to the story, I must say. Because in the final, I was then ended up facing Saul Rogers. And me and Saul.
Right, that's right.
Me and him had previously fought in Bolton. He was undefeated. He was the top prospect. Nobody wanted to fight him. And of course, who do they call? They call me. At the time I was known as the prospect killer. And I accepted the fight. The fight took place in his hometown of Bolton. And it was a great fight. It's actually on YouTube somewhere. It was a good fight. It was a back and forth battle. And if you go and see it, I get dominant positions with him. I get mount, I get his back. I win the fight. I have to be fair here. I won that fight. But it was in his hometown, so I got robbed on the decision. He got the split decision in his favor. But I said, look, whatever, fuck it. I'm not a moaner, not a complainer. Give me a rematch. And, he wouldn't give me a rematch at all. He tried to run away from me, and he changed weight class. Said, oh, I'm going to be fighting at 170 now, whatever. I said, look, I don't care what weight class. I'm going to follow you to any weight class. Let's go. Let's fight. Let's do a rematch. And then the story continues. Then, obviously, SBG starts developing, and there was SBG Manchester opened. And Carl Tansville, being an incredible coach, he's unfortunately passed away now.
Yeah.
But what a great man he was, and a great coach. And so Saul decides to join SBG Manchester. And obviously, they asked me, look, Artem, are you okay with him joining SBG? Because once he joins SBG, a rematch cannot happen anymore, because he's going to be part of the team now. And I says, look, I'm not going to prevent a guy from joining a good gym. He wants to do it. He's got a big future. It's not a big deal to me. No rematch, fuck it. So let's let him join. So he joins it, and I can't get my rematch unless we're in the Ultimate Fighter, where that's just the show, the way the show played out, and we both ended up in the final. And now I'm thinking, right, finally the rematch is going to happen. The rematch is going to happen. And I say all this to Dana as we're about to square up. I said, Dana, and I tell him the story. I'm like, this motherfucker has been chasing him for 4 years. You know what I mean? I've never chased pussy for that long. And so I'm finally thinking I'm going to get my rematch. I know I'm only messing. I love Saul. Saul is a good guy and an incredible fighter. I have to say he is a warrior. But a bit of stick, it never hurt anyone.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm thinking finally I'm going to get this rematch. It's going to happen, and then whatever happens, Saul's visa issue arises, and the rematch can't happen. Right. And after all this crazy story, the rematch was gone again for me. So and it never happened.
Mate, I'm just so stoked that your career has gone the way it's gone. You know, I've kind of been I've been watching your fights for a long time now, and you're a class act, Artem. I remember you sent me a message when I broke my neck and I was about to get surgery, and you gave me a lot of words of encouragement, and that really helped me with the process of that healing. So I wanted to give you a thanks for that, and I just wanted to let everybody know that this man right here is a good guy. If you want to follow him, or if they want to know more about you, Artem, how can people check you out?
They know where to find me.
Guys, Artem, thank you so much for coming on the show today, bro. It really meant a lot to me and to everyone here at What Happens Here. I hope that everything continues to go well with you and your family, and I look forward to you stepping back into the ring or the octagon, whatever it may be, because you're always put on a performance. You always walk forward, and you're an absolute champion. And I just love watching you. I just think you're fantastic.
Thank you so much, Marcus. Stay safe, and everyone at home as well, guys. Stay safe. This thing is nearly over. We're going to defeat it, and let's go. We'll be back fighting. We'll be back celebrating. We'll be back partying.
My man. Ladies and gentlemen, Artem Lobov. Hey guys, Marcus here. Today's episode was proudly sponsored by Team Guilty Clothing, Conquered Apparel, Rise Fight Gear, Molcata Clothing Wear. How could we forget Fit Guru Fight Retreats in Las Vegas. Of course, Wildcats for all your cannabis needs. And of course, Baller Balm for when your beard needs to be money. Today's episode was fueled by Proper 12, the finest, the tastiest liquid gold on the planet.